Okay, so let's get ourselves ready. We're going to do a little sequence on relieving lower back pain, just to quieten down any discomfort in your back. If you haven't got back pain, obviously at the moment, then it's not going to give you back pain. It will just give you a little opportunity to release the lower back, where we hold a lot of our tension. So the first pose, as usual, is just our basic relaxation pose. Just have some blocks underneath your feet, bolster underneath your knees, and then we're not going to stay for as long in our basic relaxation pose as we normally do today, but we're just going to use this as an opportunity to just ground ourselves. So if you've been sitting at a desk all day, if you've been busy doing things around the house or being at work, then just the opportunity to release down into the floor, just to let go, just to enjoy the straight line of the floor, is a really valuable one. We generally don't give ourselves permission to relax. So restorative yoga aims to remedy that, giving you a real sense of release, rejuvenation, quietness, and calm. Consciously release the muscles of the arms. Unhook the muscles of the arms as though you're pinned to the ground. Let the muscles of the arms unhook. Feeling the contact of the body on the floor. Feeling the support of the floor. Give yourself permission to relax. Soften your jaw and your tongue. Just listen to the sound of your breath. Observe how the body is supported by the floor, by the bolster underneath your knees, by the blocks supporting your backs of your shins, by the blanket supporting your head and your neck. Just allow the body to completely let go. Unhooking the muscles of the arms and the legs. And that action requires some effort. It brings a real sense of refreshment from the constant movement of the day. Just focusing on allowing the body just to continually release. This sequence of gentle poses designed to release lower back tension starts with the bolster underneath the knees, just giving you softness in the lumbar. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently sit yourself up, just wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, just a gentle, short moment in our basic relaxation pose. For this pose, you're going to need, it's called the constructive rest position. So you'll need a belt, and bring that belt into a little loop like this. And then use one of the blocks that you used for your feet. You're going to bring the belt around the tops of your, the just above the knees, and then put a block in between your two knees. And then you pull on the belt so you create firmness. So the belt kind of holds. And then the pose is simply to come, so you got the knee, the belt around your knees, you got the block between your two knees, and then a blanket underneath your head. Have your feet either together feels good for that lower back, especially with the block between your knees. If it feels uncomfortable for your back though, you can just bring your feet apart. Bringing the two knees together, so bring the 2 feet together, just gives you a little release for your lower back. So again, just releasing down into the floor. So the block between your knees gives you a little space in the hips and the inner groins. Belt around your legs allows you to hold the pose. without holding tension in your legs. So this just helps to gently spread your sacrum spine and your lumbar spine across the floor for lower back pain relief. Remember that if any of these poses aren't comfortable, then simply adjust the position so that they become comfortable. Maintain softness in the jaw and in the tongue. Observe how the entire lower back feels like it spreads out onto the mat, giving quietness and softness in the lower back area. So remember, there should be no effort. This method of yoga is all about relaxing, releasing. So if you ever have lower back pain, just come into this position, this constructive rest position, and then allow yourself to just stay in this position for as long as you like. Okay, and to come out of the pose, just bring your hands onto your lower ribs. Bend your knees in toward your chest, and then just loosen your belt, and then just move the block from between your knees, and then roll onto your side, and then sit yourself up. So we're going to do a side lying stretch. So it's good if you've got two bolsters for this. If you haven't, one will be okay. So if you've got two bolsters, go for your oblong bolster underneath, and then your tubular bolster on top. And then getting into this is kind of a challenge. But you just come down bring the bolster into your kind of midriff region, and then cross your feet over, and then stretch both arms out. So you cross the front legs over, and then just stretch yourself along. Try not to roll over too much. So maybe you have to position the top leg so that you're not rolling onto your front. So you get a really good stretch along the upper hip, the upper abdominal region. Remember just to adjust if it's uncomfortable. So find a position that you can remain in. So if it feels like it digs into your ribs a little, then shuffle up a little more so that it's just the bolster is just pressing into your hip. But just find that position that feels as though you can stay. So we're only going to stay here for a short time because this pose requires some holding physically rather than letting go. But the stretch that you'll get from the side abdomen and the hip just helps to release your lower back. So you slowly get used to the shape. Okay, bring your top hand down onto the mat just in front of your head, and then bend your knees a little, come up onto all fours, and then just come over onto the other side. So draw in the other hip or the kind of abdominal region into the bolster, and then stretch your arms out. And then just again, let yourself just release. It does require a little bit of holding, but just be gentle with that hold. Again, if you feel uncomfortable, just adjust until the pose feels stable. And then just bring the top hand onto the floor in front of your head, and then just gently roll over onto your front, and then come up into all fours, and then just sit back on your heels. So we're going to do our supported pigeon pose. So keep one of your bolsters long ways like this, have the other just ahead of you like that. So you might want a blanket for your head, so have a blanket where you can reach it. So to come into supported pigeon, you have to bring your right knee, your right foot over in front of the, if it's difficult to do that, you can just do it this way. So just bring that right knee forwards over the bolster, and then bend yourself down, and then walk that right foot over to the left side so that the knee comes flat down onto the floor. So no, like this. So just come. So I'll show you on the other side, because maybe you can't see that leg. So so you bring the front leg forwards, just come up onto your knee like this, and then just reach down, and then walk that foot over to the other side of the right side. That's it. And then bring that knee down onto the floor. That's it. And then just feel that your hips kind of come level. Then shuffle your bolster in towards your body, and then just stretch yourself along the bolster, and then just rest your head. So if it feels too strong in your hips, just shuffle about so that you can move the bolster down your leg a little if you want. It's good to have a blanket for underneath your head, but then just allow yourself to release into the floor. Have your elbows wide enough apart so that you're not supporting your weight with your arms. Just let yourself release into the floor. You can just let the straight leg just release and relax. And just allow the body to release down into the floor. So again, if this pose isn't comfortable, give yourself some extra support. You can use some extra blankets underneath the bolster, or you can even put some blocks underneath the body bolster, the upper body bolster, to lift the bolster up a little higher. So our supported pigeon pose. Just breathe in naturally. So as you stay, you feel body yielding into the shape of the pose. So this is quite a strong pose that you can just let gravity intensify. Just very gently bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then lift yourself up. And then press the fingertips into the floor. Walk the back leg in a little. Bring your knee onto the bolster and then just come back onto all fours. So we'll do the other side. How was that? Was that okay? Yeah. Okay. So we'll do the other side. So come up onto your knees, and then bring the other leg out in front. Just bring your hands down onto the floor, and then walk your foot over to the side, and then bring yourself down. And again, just bring the bolster into the body, and then rest your head on the opposite side this time. So supported pigeon pose. So these poses are maybe a little more intense than the restorative poses we usually work with. They will really open up the lower back. So you can vary the position of your head just to give your neck a good even stretch. So this pose gives you a really nice stretch in the hip and around the hamstrings. And while it's relatively intense, it just gives you the opportunity to just release your lower back. Okay, so bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and then just lift your chest up, walk the back leg in so that you bring the knee onto the bolster, and then bring both knees onto your bolster, and then just sit back on your heels for a moment. Just spend a moment just listening to the breath, and then just move the oblong bolster, and then we're just going to do a supported spinal twist. So have your knees bent, have your hip close to the bolster, and then lift and open the chest and drive the chest down to face the bolster, and then let your head rest on one side. Let the elbows just roll out so that you're not supporting yourself with your shoulders. Your knees are bent. And the chest is turning down to face the bolster with your head on the side. Okay, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and then just lift yourself up, and then just sit over onto the other side with the hip close to the bolster. Lift and open the chest, pointing the chest down to the bolster, and then let your head just rest on the opposite side. as last time, just pointing your chin in the same direction as your knees. And release. Okay, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then just push yourself up into a seated position. And then just to finish off, we're going to do pose with a chair. So just something to put your legs up on. So if you've got a little stool or whatever nearby. So you're just going to have a blanket underneath your head. And then just come down onto your back. And then rest your legs up on the chair. Just let your arms rest to the sides. If your femur bones are too long for the chair, then you can put a blanket underneath your calf muscles. Otherwise, just let yourself just rest into the floor. So this is just resetting the lower back again. Just letting the body release into the floor. And as you stay, the back begins to just soften and release. Okay, bring your hands onto your lower ribs. Just bend your knees and just slide your feet off the chair, and then if you can, just stretch yourself along the floor for a moment. Palms facing upwards. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. Just bend your knees. If you can, if you're not too stuck with your chair, just roll onto your right side and then roll yourself up into a seated position. Just final cross legs with your hands in the masti. Just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you've released through your gentle but fairly intense practice. Receiving that good positive energy that the poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And when you're ready, just gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you have given yourself a good stretch in your lower back and you've got lots of energy for the rest of your evening. So thank you very much for joining me.